traveling, and practicing oral yoga. So she's going to be talking about electronic personal assistants, bots, and electronic personal assistants are conquering the world right now. Currently, the biggest tech companies are focusing their attention on artificial intelligence. This opens a wide variety of opportunities for developers and benefits customers. Digital assistant can access different devices, computers, and provide all kinds of information or just tell a bedtime story to your kids. You can create custom skills based on your needs and implement them for Alexa, Cortana, and Siri. In this section, we learn about artificial intelligence and how it works in digital assistant applications. You see how to start developing a custom skill from your Visual Studio. You will get enough inspiration to start developing your own. So, Miss Veronica is going to talk about the section right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. If not, let me know. So let me share my screen and I'll start the presentation. Okay, so hopefully, okay, I'm getting some messages here. Okay, perfect. So everyone can hear me. I hope everyone now can see my screen. If not,
yeah, please do not mute your mic if your mic is up. Mute your mic. Veronica, you can continue.
Please mute your mic.
Okay. Okay, so I think we are ready. And today we'll be talking about virtual assistant skills, how you can build them, where you can start, what you need to know before you build them. And my name is Veronica Kolesnikova. Thank you for introducing me, and I'm super excited to be with you today and talk about virtual assistants. And I think the introduction was great. So here, just a couple of words about me. I'm a Microsoft MVP in AI. I have master's in information technology. I have QA experience. I started my career as a quality assurance engineer, and then I moved to development. And mostly I'm working with Microsoft technologies like C#, .NET. I'm really interested in Xamarin and obviously machine learning. And my hobbies are dancing, traveling, and aerial yoga. So here's the agenda for next probably 50 minutes, because I'll try to leave some time for questions in the end. I'll just provide an overview of what a bot is or a virtual assistant, and then how you can design it, what you need to know before you start development. And then when we are done with design, we'll move to development. And then I'll show you a quick demo. I hope you'll be excited by then. So let's start with the overview. What is a virtual assistant? I am actually arguing with my colleagues a lot about bots and virtual assistants. Some people think they are completely different. Some people think they are the same. I feel like bot is the same as virtual assistant. So let me start with definition of a bot. And bot is technically a software that can understand what your user wants and either answer a question or perform some action based on your user's request. And a virtual assistant, I think, as I mentioned before, I think it's the same as a bot. It is just one of the channels. So you are basically still building a bot, and then you can connect that bot to different channels. It can be just a web chat, that little pop-up window when you browsing internet. Usually that's what happens when you do online shopping. Or you connect it to a virtual assistant and make it a skill. Technically, when I was starting Googling about virtual assistants, when I started just learning about them, I found lots of ads about jobs and people working as virtual assistants. That is also an option, but we are not going to talk about that part here. We are only going to talk about software. There are several most popular assistants, and I'm going to mention them on my next slide, but I'm sure we all know them, like, Alexa and Cortana, and we probably work with them or interact with them as users. And there are millions of skills and applications available right now for virtual assistants, and people keep building them. Lots of companies, they build custom virtual assistants. They are trying to help their users if they have any questions or requests. And especially now, during the pandemic that is happening right now, and lots of people are stuck at home. We are on quarantine here, and it might be hard to actually go to a bank or go to I'm not going to say store, because here in the US lots of stores are still closed, so it's impossible to go to a store. And then that's why people they kind of have to interact with bots in order to either get some information about banking tools, or information about some goods in an online store, or maybe they need to solve some questions, and it is not easy without a bot. And it also saves lots of time for companies, so they don't have to hire lots of people to support the call line. So that is really helpful. And then virtual assistants can be used on lots of different devices, like mobile devices, Apple and Android. They can be used on standalone devices like Amazon Echo Dot or Google Home and other devices, in cars, everywhere we can use virtual assistants. Your users can interact with your virtual assistant in 3 major ways. There are other ways obviously possible, but mostly people interact using either text, so they can just type their question or their request in that little field, and then the assistant is going to process that information, understand what user wanted, and then based on that provide an answer in text format, or show some kind of picture, do some kind of action based on that text command. Then people can use their voice. So just like I'm talking to you right now, your users can talk to your virtual assistant by asking questions, by requesting some information, or requesting some kind of action. And that is the most popular way to interact with a virtual assistant. Usually people are interacting with virtual assistant when they don't want to type long text, or they're in the middle of something. For example, if they're driving and they need to ask something, some kind of help or direction, then they just ask it using their voice. And then the assistant can either, again, perform an action or reply to them either using text or reply using the voice. And then the third option there is by taking and or uploading images. That is the least popular way to interact with virtual assistants, but that is still possible. So a user can upload an image with some kind of text, and then the virtual assistant can perform optical character recognition, and based on that information, reply or do some kind of action for the user, or it can be just an image of something, and then the virtual assistant can analyze an image and provide an answer. And for all that, you definitely need machine learning. So machine learning is the base of every virtual assistant. I think the simplest virtual assistant is just an Echo bot, which just repeats whatever your user asks, but that is not really useful. You don't have to use machine learning if you want to write lots of code and try to analyze every possible question that might be asked, and then you'll write millions of if-then rules and different loops, and it is just complicated. So there are lots of machine learning tools that you can use, like Microsoft Cognitive Services. You can use custom tools like ML.NET provided by Microsoft, or TensorFlow, other tools. You build in your model, and then your model can be a base for your virtual assistant. Okay, so let's move to the most popular digital assistants. And I'm really quick just gonna provide you an overview. And the first one is Siri. Lots of people think that that was the first real virtual assistant available. It was developed by Apple, and it was released in 2011. I think it was iPhone 3, if I'm not mistaken, where they integrated Siri for the first time. But Siri wasn't the very first one. I think it was the first one that was available for consumers and for large audience. But before Siri, obviously, there were lots of kind of smaller virtual assistants that were used on either for military purposes, or they were used for government. They were used for larger corporations. But Apple opened up the world of virtual assistants for all of us, and now we all have it. And the next one is Google Now. It was developed by Google. So they keep changing the name. So if you check that documentation, sometimes it is Google Now because that was their original name. Now it's just Google Assistant, but don't worry, those are same things. And Google released it in 2012. And after that, Cortana was released, and Cortana is available for pretty much all PC users. If you're on PC, you are using Windows, then Cortana is integrated there by default. It was developed by Microsoft in 2014. And it is also can be used on mobile devices. They're now integrating it with iPhones and Androids, and it can also be used on a standalone device. Next one here is Alexa. It was developed in 2014 by Amazon. And lots of people think that Alexa is the most popular virtual assistant, but that is debatable. There are lots of different studies that you can read online, and they're all different. I guess it depends on the researcher and what kind of market they're investigating. But Alexa is used on lots of home devices. They also have devices with the screens. I think it was Echo Show So they have devices with screens, they have devices like bigger devices and smaller devices where you can use Alexa. And you know, you can also try it online using emulators. There are lots of emulators available out there. And then the last one here is Facebook M. The name is also, it has been changed a lot. And I'm not sure if they keep changing it or that's the official name, but that's the name, the original name from the time when Facebook M was released. Lots of people actually interacting with Facebook M, especially if you have Facebook Messenger. Then you probably interacted somehow with it, but it is not obvious. It is acting a little different than other virtual assistants, but if you use the Messenger, then if you see that little sign there, that means you're using Facebook's virtual assistant. And it was developed by Facebook in 2017. And those are just the most popular ones, but there are also custom ones and smaller ones. So there are lots of them available. Okay, here was the overview. Now we are actually ready to think about our own virtual assistant skill. And before we start actually developing it, we need to start designing it. So what do you need to design a bot? Okay, so here I have a really awful graph because for some reason, I cut off the, what means what there. What are those beautiful colors mean? Don't do that. I'm sorry, but technically here you can see the most popular skills that are used by users. So people mostly just ask questions, or they ask to listen to streaming music service, or check the weather. So those three are the most popular use cases for bots. And the last one here is listen to podcasts or other talk formats. And that one is not the least popular one. It is just in that list, it is way less popular than ask a question. So you need to think what your bot is going to do, how it can help your users, what questions it can answer, or what kind of actions it needs to perform. And that's your first step when you start designing a bot. You need to explore different bot use cases and design best practices. You need to understand the anatomy of your bot before you start the development. And you need to know about the design patterns. I know that there are special UI developers that are working only with bots. They're designing their interface for devices with a screen, and also they're designing dialogues. And designing dialogues is probably the most important part there, because if your dialogue is not designed well, your bot doesn't know how to respond to questions or doesn't accommodate user needs, then that's not a good bot. And once you start developing, it might be, it depends. If you need to change a lot in your conversation, if you need to change a lot in how the dialogue structured, that might be really challenging after you release your bot. So you need to think about that before you start development. And here are some principles of bot design. They're just general principles. There are way more things that you need to remember. But let's start with the first one. You need to minify number of steps user needs to get his or her problem solved. Your user doesn't want to spend hours and hours talking to the bot just to figure out what's the weather today. And the shorter interaction, the more useful your virtual assistant skill is. Because we all know that it's really annoying when sometimes you call on the phone to customer service and you're just waiting and waiting, and that is not a good user experience. But if you want to make the best user experience, you need your bot to actually understand what user wants. And if the bot doesn't understand something, then they need to have some kind of mitigation. Next principle here, you need to determine devices users will connect with bot through. So I mentioned a couple of devices. It can be a mobile phone, it can be a standalone device like Echo Dot, or it can be a device with a screen. So you need to understand how your users are going to interact. Are they going to type the text? Are they going to use their phone and just send some text to your bot? Or are they going to talk to the bot? Or they're gonna use the camera to show something or take pictures and send that kind of information to your bot? So that is also really important. And then next one here, you need to make replies as short and precise as possible. Sometimes a user can ask really broad question and maybe a question about some historical events, and you need to read the whole article about some events if you need to respond to that question. First of all, it is really hard sometimes to understand a virtual assistant, and sometimes the voice is so monotonic that you can really get lots of information from that. So if the reply is really long and you see that that's useful information but it's just too much, you can provide either card there with some just basic details, but at least a person can read it themselves. Or if that's not an option, if you don't have a device with screen, then you can provide a link, some kind of URL where user can go and read more about that. So that's how you can mitigate that issue. And then two more principles of bot design. You need to add an easy way to return to start, exit, or talk to human, or search articles online. I think that's really basic. It should be obvious for a user how to start the bot, either providing a name of your skill or asking specific question or somehow. So it should be obvious how to start the skill, and then an option to exit it. So if your user doesn't receive the information they need, or maybe they already asked everything they wanted to ask and they got all the answers, everything that they needed, they were satisfied with, and they just want to exit, they should have that option. They shouldn't be hanging there just stuck in a loop of questions if they're already done with that skill. Also, option to talk to a human or search articles online. I think search articles online is more let's call it affordable for developers and companies. So you're basically just providing a link to a page online where a user can continue reading about something or perform other actions. Talk to a human, you need to actually have a connection to specific tools that providing it. You need to have connection to call center. Microsoft Bot Framework recently, I think during build just a couple of weeks ago, they showcased how you can do it, how you can actually pass your user from your bot to human and actually talk to being able to talk to real human there. And then, oh yeah, some design issues. Okay, let's keep it like that. You need to keep bot updated using feedback or failure log. You always need to work with your bot. You need to understand what goes right, what goes wrong. You need to keep the log. As for any software, you need to keep log. If something wasn't right, or when you designed the dialogue, you didn't include some question that is really popular, you always can go back and retrain your model, machine learning model that you're using, or correct your code. So next time when users request something or ask that question that didn't have an answer, they can get it. And if something doesn't work right, you can see the failure log and determine what was wrong and what you need to fix. Okay, and now we are actually going to the development part. I think that's one of the most exciting. I think demo is the most exciting part, and then development is the second most exciting part for me personally. So when you're done with your design, you either have a special UI person who can help you with that, or you are interacting with client and trying to design a bot yourself. When you're done with that part, you can move to development. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about development environments for different virtual assistants. And if you are trying to create a Google Assistant skill, and it just Google Assistant, you want to work with Google technologies, because all those tech companies, Google and Apple and Amazon and Microsoft, they are all providing tools for you to be able to create bots and virtual assistant skills. So for Google, I think I put it in the middle there and made it a little bigger. So it is Google Actions. So you need your Google developer account. So you go to Google Developer Console. And then there you have an option to use Google Actions. And pretty much everything that you might need is in Google Actions. You are creating actions, and based on those actions, you collecting them together, and you can use them for Google Assistant skills. If you need to do some custom development, then you have an option to use Dialogflow. Dialogflow is mostly Google's machine learning layer that can understand what your user wants. It parses the information, figures out what was the request, what are the entities there, basically what the user wanted. And then if you want to do more development there, you want to customize your bot even more, you can use Node.js. Google Actions, they support Node.js, so you can write your code in any IDE that you might use for that, and then connect your Node.js code to the Google Actions. And then next one here is the Firebase tools. Those are for database management if you need to store something additional, especially if you write in your custom code on top of the Google Actions, then you probably need to use Firebase tools. Those tools, they're all provided by Google, so they are connecting to each other really well. And from Google Actions, you can actually not only connect all those things together, but also connect your bots to virtual assistant skill. You can test it online. You can deploy it. So users all over the world can use your bot, or specific users in specific company, maybe just your friends. So there are lots of different options. Check Google Actions if you are interested in specifically Google Assistant development. And then the next one here is a Siri development environment. And that one is really, really different from other bots or virtual assistants that you might develop. You need to use Siri Kit provided by Apple. You can use Xcode for your all your Apple development needs. And you need to use Swift and Objective-C for development. And basically, the structure here is completely different from any other virtual assistant. I already mentioned that. So how that works here for Siri, you have a user interacts with Siri. Oh, wrong way. And then you need to actually develop your app. So it's a standalone app. It is not really a virtual assistant skill. Your app can be anything you want. It can be a game. It can be a database. It can be, I don't know, to-do app, whatever app you want to develop. But then you are using app services with your app. And in order to connect Siri to your app, you can use Intense App Extension. And there are actually two parts of the Intense App Extension. They have UI and they have the tool itself. So the tool itself that is required to be able to connect Siri to your app. So your user can ask Siri something from your app, like if it's a database app about nature, that your user can ask, okay, Siri, open that app and tell me about forests, for example. So that's what you can do. Or if you're using UI on top of it, you can integrate some adaptive cards in Siri or some kind of UI elements, but it's still not going to be a separate virtual assistant skill. It will just basically be a connection between your app and Siri. Next, let's move to Alexa development environment. That one is classic. So Google, Alexa, and Cortana or Microsoft Bot Framework, they are similar in, they have similar approach in development. Siri is completely different. So that's why using, for example, Microsoft Bot Framework, you can connect easily to Alexa and Google Assistant, but there is no way to connect to, I mean, there might be some ways that, like the hacky ways to connect, but basically because you are not building the virtual assistant skill for Siri, you technically can't connect your skill to Siri. Okay, enough about Siri. Let's move to Alexa. And for creating Alexa skill, you can do everything from the Amazon developer portal. They have specific part for Alexa development. If you want to customize it more, you can connect it to functions in AWS. They also provide JSON code option right in the portal. So you can write your custom code there, or you can write it somewhere else and then just upload it to the portal. You can test it on real devices. You can test it in the portal. They have the test environment there, or there are also third-party online test options. So it looks like a real device, but it's just online. You don't have to buy anything. It's free. You're creating an account there, connecting your bot to that virtual device, and you can see how it's going to work, how your virtual assistant skill is going to work with a real device. If you don't want to start everything from scratch, you can use pre-built templates there, custom skill, smart home skill, video skill, or flash briefing skill. I think they add in some templates for you there. So if it's something that that is useful for your project, you can definitely start developing it with templates. You don't have to start everything from scratch. But if not, that's totally fine, and you can still use everything available in the portal. And then the last one here is the Microsoft Virtual Assistant. That one is really new. I really wanted to include it, and I'm going to talk about that for the first time because they started previews a little while ago, but they released it during build, and that is super exciting. You can use Bot Framework. It's all built on top of Bot Framework, and Bot Framework is available as SDK, or you can use web app bot on Azure. So you create a web app bot, and it will be automatically integrated with Bot Framework, and it can be integrated automatically with LUIS. Microsoft Virtual Assistant is a new template that they released at Build. And there you already have all those integrations that you might need. So you have the Bot Framework there. You are connected to speech. You're already connected to Q&A Maker that is part of the cognitive services available on Azure. And also language understanding or LUIS, which is also part of the cognitive services. It can be connected to other cognitive services like Vision or Search or other cognitive services tools. They're all available on Azure. Some of them are customizable. Some of them are APIs and SDKs that allow to integrate machine learning in all kinds of applications without being an expert in machine learning. So those are super cool. If you didn't have a chance to check the cognitive services, I love them. They're awesome. They can be used anywhere. Definitely check them out. But specifically for virtual assistant, you can also use knowledge bases, different databases like general knowledge, different data sources. You can, on the right, you can see that you customize your skills, and also new features that when you create different bots or different virtual assistant skills, you can connect them together. So you can use one bot in another and connect it as a skill, and then create the whole tree of virtual assistants connected, virtual assistant skills connected to each other, or bots connected to each other. That is really cool. You can use different tools for that. You can use the bot composer that they announced during build. You can use Power Virtual Agent. You can use what I'm going to show you during the demo, the new Microsoft Virtual Assistant template. And then, okay, we are done with kind of right part here. You can also connect to third-party assistants there. With the left part there, you can connect it with Azure Bot Service. So you are deploying everything to Azure. You don't have to technically do it, but it will be way easier because you are already using cognitive services from Azure. So you might as well just deploy everything to Azure and connect to different channels. If you are using Azure, you have an option there to connect your bot to different channels like Cortana and Skype and Teams, and I have lots of options there. And there are also lots of input options available and supported, like tapping and typing and speaking, adaptive cards. So it can be really interactive with your user. It depends on, again, what kind of skill you're building and what kind of users are gonna use it. Are they more comfortable with typing, or they are more comfortable with speaking? So it's totally up to you. And then I already mentioned about devices. So most of virtual assistant skills can be used on different devices like mobile phones and some home devices that you have, or cars, and other options. So we are done here, and we're moving to demo. I hope you are ready for the demo. And while we are moving there, if you have any questions, let me know. I think I have a message here. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions later, definitely let me know, or the moderator can let me know, and I can answer the questions. Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. Questions always welcome. So here's what I got from that virtual assistant template that I was talking about. It is not integrated with Visual Studio right now, so you need to go to the Visual Studio Marketplace and download it separately. But once you download it, you can just go create new project. I don't want to mess my project here, but yeah, if you open new Visual Studio, I'm using Visual Studio 2019. I'm not sure if they still support in 2017 for the virtual assistant. While you are creating a new project, yeah. Okay, you just type in virtual assistant, and here you'll get in virtual assistant template. We'll just create that project. I'm not going to do it right now because I already have it. So that's what you get out of the box. I didn't do any custom development here. That was everything that I got out of the box. So we already have connection to LUIS in different languages here. That's language understanding service. Q&A, that is for chit chat, the new cool thing there. You can set up like type of personality for your bot. So if that's a skill, if it's a skill for kids, then it might be, you might want to use like a funny, friendly personality. If it's more for business people, then it should be more serious, no weird jokes, nothing like that. But it's coming out of the box. So you're just setting up the kind of personality you want, and then Q&A Maker will handle it for you. So you don't need to write anything around like basic stuff like welcome skill or exit skill. It is already coming from the Q&A Maker. And then the dispatch, we're using dispatch here because we have both language understanding and Q&A Maker. So our system needs to understand the skill, then it needs to understand if we need to use Q&A Maker or LUIS, and what kind of what we need to use when. That's why we're using dispatch here. And also the cool scripts. So we have like main dialogues. They are pretty much empty. Oh yeah, it's open here. So they're really bare bones, but still you can see how it is created, and it's a good foundation layer for you, so you can build on top of it, especially when you have everything there already connected and it's working. It is just really basic. It is asking like one question, and it understands really basic things like hello and goodbye and exit. That's it. You already have a couple of models here. The user profile states with a name of user, so it knows that it needs to ask your user name and some state properties that you can use. So those are language files for that was the main one. That is, so here you can see what your bot can, or your virtual assistant can ask your users. So you can ask what's your name, and then reply with including the name. So that's how you use variable in language files here. And there you have lots of things out of the box. I was really, really impressed by everything that I'm getting here. It is pretty, it's really stable ground for you to build on top of. I wrote a blog post about my first experience with setting up just the basic basic virtual assistant template. It is really, really awesome and exciting. So read my blog post or ask me questions whenever you want. And here also, let's when you check all the files that you have here and already some minimal functionality that you have here, you will want to deploy your bot to Azure. So basically using deploy script here, that is PowerShell, but it's not regular PowerShell, that's PowerShell Core. And you need to install some additional tools like the Azure CLI. You need to install PowerShell Core, but that's only the first time when you're starting out. So you do it once, and then it will gonna work. It will be working for all your future skills and future bots. So when you deploy it to Azure, let me show you. So that's what you see here when you deploy it. And it will ask you a couple of questions like name of your resource and name of your resource group, and then it will create all those resources for you. You also need to specify your location, so it should be closer to you. For some resources here, it kind of restricts you to certain region. So that one is a little far from me because I live in East US. But you're getting several cognitive services resources like Q&A Maker, and then LUIS, and then just the general cognitive services for your speech and other things. And the search service And then that one is the web app bot that is created here. You get an application insights and the Cosmos DB database and some storage. So that's the bot itself. So when you go here, you have an option to test it right here in web chat. So you can do it either here or using the bot framework emulator on your local machine. So even if you don't want to deploy it, or you deployed it and you want to still test it on your local machine, you can use the bot framework emulator on the local machine and connect to your bot and test it there. And then channels. So web chat is running by default. Oh, that one has few issues. Oh yeah, because I was testing it. I was testing it and just before we met, and I had a couple of issues because I was asking the questions that it didn't support, because that is just the basic. I didn't do any development there. I just created the basic project there. So I got some issues, but that is really awesome that you can see those issues here and then you can work with them, understand what's happening. There are lots of available channels. So direct line speech is used for Google Assistant. It is used for Alexa, but just a couple of weeks ago at Build, they released new channel, Alexa. So now it's really easy to connect to Alexa. You go to the Alexa Developer Console here, where you can build your Alexa skill. Any kind of skill doesn't have to be connected to the bot framework, or if you want it to be connected to bot framework, then you need to go to the JSON editor here and copy some code that is mentioned in the documentation. I also provided a link to how to set up, how to connect your bot to Alexa channel in my blog post. So that's the invocation name and some general information here. And then you are also connecting it endpoint. So here you are actually connecting it to the bot framework. And this URL you are getting when you are creating the connecting to the Alexa channel here. I can edit it. So that's the URL that you need to use, and that URL the skill ID, skill ID that you are getting from the Alexa portal. So that is a quick overview. You can do testing here. That's a cool part. So let's do both typing and microphone. I'm not sure if you will be able to hear it. Help. Stop. So when I say stop, it basically stops the skill, and you can see all the output here and the input that we send into Alexa here. That is the bot that I just connected out of the box. If you definitely need to do more development and create more interactions there, but it is a really good option to connect. And you basically build in the bot once if you build it right, because you need to remember if you interact using speech or text, and for different environments you need to use different input and might use different output. Like for some you need to use adaptive cards, and for others you need to use voice replies. But basically, you're just doing it once, and then let me go back to channels, and then you are connecting same bot to different channels. That is really awesome. I really like that option there. So we don't really have lots of time, but I am ready for your questions. Any questions? I don't see any questions. Do you have any questions for me? The link to my slides and the link to my blog. Sure, I can send it. I can where will be the best place? The meetup page, or yeah, let me know where I can. The organizers can let me know where I can send the links, and I'll be able to do it. Any other questions? You can't imagine, I'm so excited. I've never been to Africa. I think Nigeria is cool, and I'm really happy that you will actually join me today, and that's exciting and awesome, and keep learning.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Veronica, for your session.
Thank you.
Okay, so
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Veronica, for the session. Quick question. So if I have a bot and I want to say, for example, help you do a lot of my personal day-to-day activities like schedule Teams meeting, retweet tweets on Twitter, like posts on LinkedIn. You know, all those day-to-day activities that we do. Is there like an easy way to do that today, and not having to like write the whole functions to connect to all these various systems like the Teams API or the Twitter API and all those things? So what's like the easiest way to do that today? So I'm trying to picture like my own personal assistant, for example. I'm building it in my head.
Yeah, you can. There are lots of APIs available. That is not coming by default. There are Twitter APIs if you want to connect to Twitter. You can use. You can actually use the Azure Functions if you want to, or the Logic apps. And Logic apps, they can be connected to anything you want. You can also use the Microsoft Graph in order to connect to some information from your Office 365, or some tools, some personal information that is stored in your Microsoft account. So it's not out of the box, but there are tools available there.
Hello. Please, one person at a time. One person at a time, please.
Hello.
Go on.
Okay. Well, thanks you, Veronica. So I really enjoy your session, and I want to ask a question based on this part of the thing. It's been a while that I've been seeing it on Azure, but I don't really dig into it like that. So I think is it possible after building a bot, creating a bot, to embed it into a website?
Yeah, so that is actually by default. So when you create an, let me actually share the screen again so it will be easier to show. So when you are creating your web app bot, and you don't have to do all those things with the virtual assistant template, you just can go create a new resource and it will be web app bot. Here's the example. So when you are going to channels, by default, all any kind of web app bot that you are creating, it will be automatically connected to the web chat. So that's the main functionality, and that can be used in GetBot embedded codes. So you are getting the code from here for embedding your bot in your website or any other like apps or whatever you want. So that will be web chat by default.
Okay, any other question? Okay, so if that's all the questions, Veronica, we really loved your session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And if you have questions later, let me know. You can reach out on Twitter or LinkedIn. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so next up, we'll be calling our next speaker. Our next speaker is Good Hope, and he'll be talking to us about how to become a Microsoft student partner. I know most people would want to be Microsoft student partners, so Good Hope is here to help us understand the best ways to go about being a Microsoft student partner. Good Hope, are you on the call?
Hello, I'm on the call.
Okay, thank you. So you're up. This is your session. Let's know how we can become Microsoft student partners.
All right. So let me share my slides. Okay, please let me know if you can see my slides.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks once again for joining us for this event. It's been awesome having you guys here. In line with the Microsoft vision for us to empower everybody in the planet to do more, the Microsoft student partners are always ready to bring technology to you. My name is Good Hope Odu. I'm a Microsoft student partner from the University of Port Harcourt. I've been an MSP since September 2019, and it has been an awesome experience so far. If you're a student on this call, or you know any student that is not a Microsoft student partner but would like the opportunity to become one, please spread the word to them. We would love to have them on board. I'll be taking you through how to become a Microsoft student partner. So they say the first step you take is always the hardest one, but I can tell you that it's as easy as visiting studentpartners.microsoft.com and hitting the apply button. There you'll be able to get the form that you fill and submit. But before we jump into applications, let's look at the basic requirements for a Microsoft student partner. First of all, you have to be a student enrolled in, let's say, a postgraduate or an undergraduate study, and you have to be passionate about technology and willing to learn. Willingness to learn means that you don't need to know all the technological stacks, all the skills. One good thing about the STEM Partners program is that it gives the opportunity, it exposes you to resources, materials that you can quickly use, learn and upskill yourself, learn new things, and even get certifications in the process. Then last and most importantly, because it's all about the students, it's all about your peers, the readiness to engage with your peers. How will you transfer the knowledge you've gotten in the program to your peers. You have to be willing to do that. Then the application process. Basically, the application process tests your ability to inspire, to teach, and to promote technology. So in your application, you'll be asked questions like, what do you like about technology? What technological stack do you like? Why do you want to go into technology? Why do you want to help your fellow students? Why do you want to inspire them? What is it that drives you to inspire them? Then you will also be asked to explain how you communicate basic technical concepts to your peers. Say, for instance, how would you explain the concept of C pointers and C programming to your friends? Or how can you easily explain the principle of object-oriented programming to your friend? If you can explain it, how would you do it? How would you make him understand in a very simple term? Then, importantly, the promotion. Promotion is very important. Like we said before, it's all about your peers, it's all about the students, it's all about getting the word out to them. So how would you promote your event to get students to attend? How would you get maximum attendance from your promotion? So basically, you want to put out the word for students to hear, and not just to hear, to also attend, to get what bit of knowledge you want to pass on to them. Then when you're filling your application, you're normally required to provide either a video or a written sample. You can provide either of these when you're filling each section, but it is advisable to provide at least one video sample, because one video, because your reviewer would want to see how you present yourself both in writing and in person. So make sure to also provide a good video that explains and shows your passion for technology. Then we also have providing additional information. Let's say you have articles you have written before, you have some projects you just worked on, maybe hosted on your GitHub. Make sure to link it so that your reviewer can also have a glimpse of how you use technology or how you express technology to others. Then for your submission, when you're done with your application, go through your application, go through it. Take your time. You can always save it and come back later, continue from where you stopped. Just make sure that you're comfortable with what you are submitting, and then you can go ahead and click the submit button. It's very important. And finally, one of the most important steps, MSPs don't take no for an answer. So if you get a rejection the first time, it's not the end. Review your application, make corrections, find out what other successful applicants did right that you did wrong. Take the time to learn new skills, attend events, meetups, talk at conferences. Any way you know you can upskill yourself, just use that period to do so and apply the next quarter. So I can't wait to see new student partners in the program. It will be very wonderful, a lot of opportunities, and I hope that we can get as many as possible. It's a very wonderful program. So thank you for your time and keep being awesome. If you have any questions, you can always pass it my way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Good Hope, for awesome session. So now I'm sure we all know how to go about being Microsoft student partners. Good Hope did a very good explanation on how to become Microsoft student partners. Microsoft student partner, sorry. So if you have any questions, you can drop them. And I'll at this point hand over to my co-host Adeola to conclude the session. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello, please, if you have any question, please, you can drop it. Anybody? Anybody with any question? Okay, then we'll conclude the section since anybody doesn't really have any question. I hope you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay. Does anybody have any question? No question? Okay. Thank you very, very much for attending our first AI series. We appreciate it. And you're going to see more and more of this AI series. Not the first, it's the first, it's not going to be the last. So thank you very, very much. And also, if the link for the Microsoft Student Partner is dropped, so you can check that in the comments. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Hello?